The image of UFOs and aliens is not uncommon in science fiction. But what about the reality? What are the chances of people encountering this phenomenon? In this issue, we will try not to be biased and answer different questions and loud statements from those who have seen something and know something. And at the end, I will tell in my story of meeting with UFOs. And we will begin, perhaps, with the famous case, which occurred on July 4, 1947, in the state of New Mexico. Farmer William Mack Brazel went to check on a flock of sheep after a severe thunderstorm. At the same time, on the hillside, in the desert, the farmer saw strange debris of a mysterious object, by description similar to a flying saucer. Moreover, there were transparent spheres with humanoid figures inside. The man reported the discovery to the sheriff. The military also arrived at the site of the falling object. The story received great publicity, and the news was discussed even on the air of a local radio station. However, it was later reported that the find was a media sonde, but most did not agree. About this case was not remembered for 30 years. Until in the late 1970s, the head of the intelligence department, Jesse Marcel, did not admit in an interview that the version of the weather balloon falsification and that the military really observed mysterious artifacts like non-creeping foil, strange symbols, and lightweight but super strong elements. It's a story that's been discussed in the press for 2 decades, and it all ended with the fact that in 1994, published the official conclusion of a new investigation. It said, crashed object, classified military program to monitor nuclear tests. Well, we never found out the truth. But this story has one strange coincidence, namely the year of the event. The fact is that in the 1950s was created VS, 9 or Avrocar flying vehicle that looks like a flying saucer, and it was not a classified technology. According to the documents, engineers tried to achieve vertical landing and vertical takeoff of the craft using jet engines. Also, experts believed that their device as a whole could reach speeds of up to 5,000 km, rise to a height of up to 30 km, and have a maximum range of about 1,900 km. But in reality, experts failed to raise the ship only a few meters, and its speed was no more than 56 km/h. Because of the central jet engine, the flying machine worked loudly, and at the same time it exposed the pilot to high temperatures. Officially, the project was shut down. But what if it wasn't? Just imagine what the engineers could have achieved in 70 years. Meanwhile, UFOs continued to appear to both casual eyewitnesses and pilots. So in May 1957, fighter pilot Milton Torres, in the quiet English countryside, was suddenly ordered to take to the air and shoot down an unidentified flying object. The pilot pursued the object, which at times appeared to be stationary, and then began to approach at a speed of about 2,000 km. According to the pilot, the UFO did not follow classical Newtonian mechanics. It made a right turn, almost on the spot. But when the pilot fixed the object and prepared to fire, it disappeared from the radar screens. For the record, radar can't see ball lightning. This strange encounter was one of the few that occurred during the Cold War. One of the most famous UFO sighting projects is the so-called Blue Book. This project attempted to organize numerous eyewitness sightings into one common archive. The realization of the project began in 1947. And by 1947, all activities were curtailed. By the time it was closed, more than 12,000 different kinds of evidence about the existence of extraterrestrial life, UFOs, and aliens had been collected, most of which were just fabrications and falsifications of eyewitnesses. But there were some events that are still unexplained to this day. Things were different in the Soviet Union. Special services actively studied any reports of contacts with extraterrestrials, and among ordinary people, there were many activists who paid attention to this problem at will. In the 90s, interest in UFOs disappeared, and along with its disappearance stopped in research, although archives about these phenomena, cases, and developments still exist. And now in our time, and more precisely in 2022, NASA reported that it will be engaged in its own study of UFOs from a scientific point of view, or, as they are now called, unexplained, anomalous phenomena, or phenomena. And this is not for nothing. The fact is that talk of suspicious objects in the sky above different countries became more frequent after the U.S. shot down the fourth such object, including in Alaska, saying that they do not exclude its extraterrestrial origin. And as always, most of the material is classified. During the year about strange objects in the sky, said Uruguay, Chile, India, China, Canada, European countries, and especially countries where there are military conflicts, which also can't be a coincidence. Then what are they? Classified developments of large private corporations, or actually the intervention of alien travelers. In favor of the latter was David Grush, former intelligence officer, who also argued that the authorities have not only the wreckage of alien spacecraft, but also the remains of aliens. He is absolutely certain that the authorities for decades may have been hiding top secret programs to detect and study extraterrestrial life forms and their technology. According to him, there are partially intact aircraft of alien origin, which either successfully landed or crashed. Moreover, he was able to obtain and begin studying UFO fragments as part of the government's classified alien craft search program. In addition to David Grush, there were two other witnesses at the Congressional Committee hearing, also Pentagon employees, who spoke in similar terms. What's not clear is, if this is top secret information, why is it available to everyone? Meanwhile, Harry Nolan, a professor of immunology, said that aliens have visited Earth and are still here. In his opinion, the effect on Earthlings' aliens produced the same effect as the Spanish galleons on the Native Americans. They just cannot realize. In addition, footage of two recently declassified UFO sightings was shown. A video made in the Middle East in 2022 and remains unexplored. Another footage from South Asia, which was made this year and similarly awaits peer review. However, the reality may be more prosaic. After the incident with the Chinese balloon, they began to look more closely at the sky, and just in case to shoot down in general all objects falling in the field of view. News of the shot down in the sky. Mysterious objects caused a wave of activity among amateur ufologists, and predicts that in the near future reports of UFOs will increase even more. And it's true. The U.S. intelligence community said that as of August 2022, intelligence agencies have received 510 reports of unidentified flying objects. To illustrate, between now and March 5, 2021, there were only 344 reports of such objects in a total of 17 years of sightings. A particularly memorable case from those times occurred in Belgium back in 1990, on the night of March 30th through March 31st. That night, unknown objects were tracked on radar and were seen by a total of 13,000 eyewitnesses, 2,600 of whom filed written statements detailing what they saw. Yes, it was impossible to hide it and pointless. Therefore, after the incident, the Belgian Air Force issued a detailed report on the events of that night. At around 23:00 on March 30, the head of the center received a report that 3 unusual lights were seen moving towards the city. The lights were reportedly brighter than stars, changed their colors between red, green, and yellow, and appeared to be placed at the vertices of an equilateral triangle with a similarly luminous element at its center. After about 10 minutes, a second group of lights was found moving in the direction of the first triangle. After half an hour, it was possible to observe the phenomenon on radar. At this time, the second group of lights, through some random maneuvers, also turned into a small triangle. The center gave the order to send 2 F-16 warplanes in secrecy. Throughout this time, the phenomenon was still clearly visible from the ground. Witnesses described a whole formation of lights, maintaining their position relative to each other while they moved slowly across the sky. Over the next hour, the 2 F-16s attempted to lock onto the target 9 times. On 3 occasions, they managed to get its coordinates from the radar for a few seconds. But each time the position and speed of the target changed so rapidly that the lock was dropped. During the first radar focus, the target accelerated from 240 km/h to more than 1770 km, while changing altitude from 2700 m to 1500 m, then to 3000, 300 m to 50 m, and then descended almost to ground level. The first descent from more than 900 m was accomplished in less than. Similar maneuvers were observed during both subsequent radar focuses. In neither case did the pilots have visual contact with the target. Moreover, despite the tremendous speed, there was no hint of the sonic boom that would inevitably occur when breaking the sound barrier. In addition, according to pilot Steck Robert, such a sudden change in acceleration and deceleration would have been fatal to one or more of the human pilots flying the object. During this time, witnesses on the ground confirmed by numerous reports that the smaller triangle they had seen had completely disappeared from view, while the larger triangle was moving upwards very quickly as the F-16 flew past. After that, the plane's radars and those at the control center completely lost contact. It is actually hard to believe, but it was this object that I and a few other people observed in 2007, only it was in Russia, in a small town. The object was quite massive, about 30 meters, but at the same time absolutely silent, halted, and instantly could move in a matter of seconds. It looked exactly as it was described by eyewitnesses in Belgium. Honestly, it was hard to believe that this unidentified object was human-made. Most likely, you too have seen something strange in the sky. Share your story. Yes, people love interesting mysteries. Something mystical, unexplained, and UFOs are on that list. But there are nuances, and the increased interest in the unexplained has a downside. It can reinforce the erroneous idea that UFOs must be alien spaceships, serving as a cover for government organizations and their manipulations, especially if we take into account the events of recent years. In favor of this recall, the unique, secret, and unclassified projects that existed back in the 1950s. Just imagine, more than 70 years have passed, and engineers could achieve amazing achievements in a completely new field that we have no idea about. The technology that makes silent vehicles of all shapes and sizes fly. And it seems that these technologies will be under secret for a long time because their introduction into our lives threatens to affect many interests, from national security to the world economy. But who knows? Maybe we are wrong, and we are being watched for a long time. We just need to understand who or what exactly. In any case, the truth is somewhere near.